Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Game News Roundup, where we go over the latest gaming news, sales figures, estimates, and all that stuff over the last week. Although, there are no VG charts estimates for what the next update would have been the first week of August, week ending August 6th. There is some data that is late that I'm waiting on. And then with July monthly reports should be out later this week. The estimates for the first week of August might not be out until Friday, depending. I might wait for all the monthly reports. There's the Europe report that should be out sometime this week, and the U.S. report from NPD should be out on Friday, which I usually like to gauge, see how estimates are doing, to make any necessary adjustments, take out our estimates to be as accurate as possible. So yeah, there is that. But first things first, I can't remember if we talked about this last week, or we might have talked about it, but I didn't have the article live at the time. But if I did, well, I'm repeating myself real quick. The PlayStation 5 has officially outsold the lifetime sales of the Nintendo GameCube. Well, based on our VG charts estimates. Our estimates currently have the PS5 at 28.83 million units sold worldwide as of July 30th. And the GameCube is at 21.7 more units sold lifetime. Up next for the PS5 is the original Xbox at 24.65 million. And Atari 2600 at 30 million, and then N64 at 32.93 million. Breaking down the PS5 sales, 8.69 million in North America, 7.8 million in Europe, 1.8 million in Japan, 3.4 million in the rest of the world, and this compares to the GameCube, which is actually 12.55 million in North America. So the GameCube is still ahead of the PS5 in North America, but the GameCube only sold 4.4 million in Europe compared to the PS5 7.8 million. 4 million in Japan compared to 1.8 million for the PS5. And then 0.7 million in the rest of the world. So PS5 is ahead in Europe and in the smaller other markets. Mainly in Asia, Latin America, and whatnot. Breaking down PS5 Europe sales, our estimates, we got 1.8 million in the UK, 1.5 million in Germany, and just a hair over 1 million in France. So looking at this breakdown, we currently have the PS5 in 20th place for best-selling video game platform of all time, but obviously it's gonna, over time, I mean, it's not been out for 2 years at this point, so it's gonna move up. We'll see how things are. Sony's saying, yes, the PS5 is tracking ahead of behind the PS4 so far, but it's because of shortages. And they do say they expect the PS5 to eventually surpass the PS4 at some point, catch up and eventually outsell. I mean, we'll see, as there's much stronger competition right now with Nintendo Switch selling like gangbusters, and Xbox having so far, the Xbox Series X and S is tracking ahead of the Xbox One 360 original Xbox. Now, will the Series X and S eventually outsell the 360? We'll see. The 360 had really strong sales later on in its life, mainly because of a huge boost in sales from the Kinect. I want to say holidays 2010 through holiday 2011. But it should have no problem, the Series X and S, to outsell the Xbox One. And I would assume PS5, worst case scenario, is still going to sell over 100 million worldwide. Most likely will still outsell the Wii and the PS1. Also the Switch, by the end of the year, should pass the PS4 and the Game Boy, which includes Game Boy Color sales, if you're wondering. Nintendo combined the sales, so that's how we have our breakdown here. But after that, we've got Nintendo DS, 154.02 million, and then the PS2. PS2, we got it at 158.7 million. Now, we don't know the exact figures, because Sony has said it's over 155 million, but when they announced when it sold that versus when it was discontinued, there was like 8 or 9 months in between, and then for a while they combined the PS2 and PS3 sales, so you gotta figure out, take PS3 sales out of that, you gotta figure out, and we came up with 158.7 million, up to potentially 160 million. But we went with the lower end number. Now, if Sony were to come out and say, yes, it exactly sold this much, then sure, we will always make adjustments, If Xbox or Microsoft announced the exact Xbox One sales, we'll always make adjustments when needed, when more data becomes available. So yeah, I mean, Nintendo Switch, by the end of the year, will be in third place for best-selling platform of all time. And then we got another 30+ million before it reaches the DS and PS2. We'll see if it has the legs. Depends how sales keep up. I mean, sales are down this year, but it's to be expected with how old the system is. Usually the peak year for consoles is years 3 and 4, and they slowly trend down. I mean, it can vary. You never know what could happen. You look at the Game Boy, its sales absolutely went nuts. About 10 years after it came out? Because of Pokemon. Pokemon is a big driver of Nintendo handheld sales, for sure. And then obviously Switch sales now, because, you know, Nintendo combined their home console and handheld into one big thing. But seeing the PS2 is still doing better than any other PS system is weird to you. Well, sales-wise, yes, Emerald, it is better. However, profitability, I'm fairly certain the PS4 is by far the most profitable PlayStation console. They make more on software. You got PlayStation Plus bringing in money, and now you've got the new PlayStation Plus, which combined the PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now into a single service. The base tier is basically what PlayStation Plus always was, but if you spend a little bit more money, you get features from PlayStation Now. Play some other older games, included hundreds of older games: PS1, PS2, PSP. PS3, PS4 games included. I'm trying to remember if there's any PS5 games included. I'm not totally sure, as I'm not sub to the higher tiers of PlayStation Plus. But yeah, it's about profitability more than about selling more consoles. I mean, yeah, you could say, yeah, you could sell more consoles you sell, and more chance to sell more software, that's obviously true. It's definitely true. We'll see. We'll see, but profitability is clearly the most important thing more than selling more units. But yeah, moving on. Might as well take a quick look at this article, which is our current estimates through July 30th for the PS5 and Series X and S, as well as week 96 for the Switch here, but comparing the launch line sales of the three systems. Now, obviously, PS5 and Series X and S launched in the same week, at least in North America. Well, Series X and S, I believe, was a worldwide launch, and that same week the PS5 launched in the US, and it was like a week a week later in Europe. But launch aligned here. Switch is a little bit ahead worldwide, 22.5 million after 90 weeks, 21.8 million for the PS5, and 16.1 million for the Series X and S. However, if you look at this, the Switch is about to take a big lead. It's because the holidays do not line up. PS5 and Series X and S came out in November, and the Switch came out in March. So you're talking about several months off where the holidays are. As you can see here, Switch is behind, and then it hits its first holiday, gets a lead, and the PS5 takes the lead. Switch is now ahead, and it's about to take a decent lead. Of course, PS5 and Series X are still supply constrained after nearly 2 years on the market. Hopefully, things will improve. But this is, again, worldwide. And breaking down the worldwide, we got U.S. sales, where sales are fairly close between all three. I mean, yeah, the Switch is about to take a big lead because it's going to enter its second holiday. But we got about lower 400,000 separating the three consoles. Fairly close. 7.95 million for the PS5 in the U.S., 7.74 million for the Switch, and 7.51 million for the Series X and S. Fairly close sales between all three. In the US, it is by far the biggest gaming market in the world. And then in Europe, this is after 89 weeks because the PS5 launched 1 week later. We've got the PS5 easily ahead with 7.85 million, Switch at 5.68 million, and the Series X and S at 4.66 million after 89 weeks in Europe. And you can see the Switch is behind, but it's going to be catching up as it enters its second holiday. But I assume by the end of the generation, PS5 should still be ahead, just because PlayStation is always fairly dominated in at least mainland Europe. Most of mainland Europe, although the Switch is doing really well in France. And then you look at the UK, it's closer to the US. Xbox does decently well in the UK, but not great in mainland Europe, to say the least. Although Japan is definitely a whole nother story for Xbox, but you know, Series X and S relatively selling good compared to the original, compared to the Xbox One. But the Switch is so far ahead, it's not even close. Switch After 90 weeks, 5.65 million compared to 1.81 million for the PS5 and 285,000 for the Series X and S. It's very lopsided. So Japan, Switch dominates. Europe, PlayStation, I wouldn't say dominates as much as the Switch does in Japan, but it definitely has a good lead. And the US is good sales. You know, no one's really dominating over anyone else at the moment. So, and then worldwide sales there. But breaking down, looking at other sales comparisons for Japan, as all the data I like to have for July in Japan is available now. I do these monthly sales comparisons. I'm waiting on Europe and US data to come out to do those comparisons as well as the worldwide sales comparisons. So all adjustments should hopefully be done, or any major adjustments will be done at that point. But looking at Japan, here we have the Nintendo Switch versus the Nintendo DS. The DS being the best-selling platform of all time in Japan. With, let's see, 32.99 million estimated sales, according to our estimates. As you can see, the Switch, it was a little bit behind. It caught up. It actually took a little bit of a lead, but then DS sales absolutely went insane and took an over a nearly 9 million lead over the Switch. But since that big lead, as you can see, overall, the trend has the Switch has been slowly outselling a little bit more than the DS most months. Now, either those little dips here and there, or some months way bigger dips, or the Switch takes a bigger, catches up by more, it's because the holidays don't line up between the two systems. What happened? DS sold like nuts. It sold gangbusters. I mean, the DS is basically sold almost on par with the PS2. And Japan is a big reason why. So there's that. So comparing here, we've got the red line is the Nintendo Switch. This darker blue line here is the 3DS, which the Switch has outsold the 3DS in Japan. Recently, these comparisons originally, I only had the two main consoles or platforms. But someone suggested, why don't you add sales of other platforms to get a better idea of other things? So for some of these comparisons, I have added other systems. So these are the Nintendo handheld systems plus the hybrid system. Mainly because if I had the GameCube or the N64, NES, or SNES, it'd be a bit lower, to say the least. So yeah, we got the DS here. 3DS here. Switch has sold more than it already. You got the DS over here. But at this point, most of the DS sales are done, especially when you get to month 73. Sales basically flatlined. Pretty much flatlined. And then just below that, we've got the dotted line for the lifetime Game Boy sales again, because this is before VG charts existed. This is before we did weekly estimates, so it's just posting the lifetime sales of the Game Boy in Japan right there, which is a little bit below the DS. So we got the DS, 30.25 million sold in Japan after 65 months on the market. Switch, we got 25.52 million, and the DS is currently 4.73 million ahead. But the Switch sold a little over 200,000 more in the last month, in month 65, when you align the launches. And the Nintendo Switch has almost sold 1 million more, 945,000 units more over the last 12 months. So it's caught up by nearly 1 million units. Now, obviously, if it does that, it's going to take 4 years for it to catch up. But DS sales really started to taper off at this point. Which also means the Switch is currently 7.47 million units behind lifetime DS sales. We'll see. If it has the legs, it should surpass the DS by a bit. I don't know by how much. So, depending. Remember, the Switch has yet to see a real price cut. It did get a small price cut in Europe, but I want to say that was mainly due to the exchange rate differences. Nintendo was able to cut the price. It was like by $30 equivalent or something like that. It was by a small amount. But outside of Europe, it has yet to see a price cut. So it's still $300 for the main Switch, $200 for the Lite, and $350 for the OLED model. And Nintendo also did announce recently they don't plan on releasing any new Switch models over the next year. Does that mean there's no more Switch revisions coming out after that? I don't know. If they do, that'll definitely keep Switch sales legs a bit better. Or if they don't, and then they release a successor to the Switch 2, the Super Switch, or whatever sooner, they'll definitely cut off Switch sales. But it all depends. We don't know their plans. Nintendo, who knows? Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Who knows with Nintendo? I mean, I'm sure they're figuring things out. They're really concerned and working on making a better transition from the Switch to the whatever the next Switch is. Hey Josh, what's up? Oh my goodness, the head banging. Oh, the head bangings. Anyways, but yeah. And then in Japan, we got Xbox Series X and S versus the Xbox 360. Comparisons, these music. Well, I mean, I don't play any copyrighted music on my streams, although I'm generally listening to heavy metal, heavy metal and rock, classic rock, and whatnot. Depends on my mood exactly what I listen to, but it's generally rock and metal. But looking at sales in Japan, Xbox Series X and S versus the 360, the Series X and S tracking behind the 360 currently, but it has actually caught up a little bit since month 17. A little bit. Not that the difference is that much, because sales were quite low. The 360 only ever sold 1.66 million lifetime in Japan, which is the best-selling Xbox console in Japan. As you can see here, you got the 360 as the orange line here. It's lifetime sales. The original Xbox, which we don't have weekly sales or monthly sales. We got the lifetime sales of just under 500,000 in the Xbox One, which was basically dead on from day one. Basically dead on day one. But the Series X and S has actually been able to do relatively for Xbox decent sales. Now, compared to the Switch, yeah, sales are dead. Even compared to PS5, it's well behind. But for Xbox, there's a pulse in Japan. It should have no problem outselling the original Xbox with the way sales are going. Maybe in the next year, depending on how sales go. And then we'll see with the 360 if it's able to eventually catch up. Maybe sell more. It depends on the lineup and how strong sales remain over time. We'll see. Moving on to other news, we've got Microsoft admitted the PlayStation 4 has sold more than twice as much as the Xbox One, which we knew. I mean, we kind of knew that already. Our estimates at VG Charts have the Xbox One at 50.53 million estimated based on available data we have and then extrapolating to worldwide sales. And it seems to be relatively close, and other analysts have sales around 50 to 55 million for the Xbox One. The PS4 has ended up selling about 117 million units lifetime, and half of that would be 58.5 million. But since they said sold more, Xbox One sales will be below 58.5 million. We don't know exactly how much below. It would be nice if Microsoft gave their sales figures or their shipment figures, but they haven't released any since, the Xbox One passed 10 million in 2014, I think? So maybe, I think it was, say, 2014? This is basically Microsoft responding to Sony about the Activision Blizzard. Basically, in Brazil, the Brazilian government basically asking Sony, Apple, Amazon, Google, Ubisoft, EA, a bunch of gaming companies like, hey, how do you feel? What do you think of Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard? It's gonna be antitrust issues and stuff, and basically everyone gave no shits. They didn't care. Sony was the one who really spoke out against, which makes sense. The fact that the biggest competition, for PlayStation would be Xbox, and the better Xbox does, the more it hurts PlayStation sales, the more better PlayStation does, the more it hurts Xbox. They're fairly, if you look at the combined sales of the Xbox and PlayStation, with the PS2 and the original Xbox and the PS3 and the 360 and the PS4 and the Xbox One, they're all really similar. Like 170-ish million, roughly, plus or minus 10 million combined every generation. So, yeah, Microsoft basically confirmed Xbox sales are between basically 50 and 55 million. But yeah, our estimates are over 50 million, about 50.5 million. Which is interesting that Microsoft did admit this. This is the most they've admitted for Xbox One sales. This is the most we've gotten. It would be nice if they said more specifically, but I'll take what I can get, I guess, with helping with our estimates, but our estimates are pretty much in line with what they said. It's very broad. But yeah. Moving on, let's see. Report. Coming out, PlayStation is publishing a new game from Ballistic Moon, which is a studio was founded in 2019, based in England, founded by a few industry veterans who worked on House of the Dead, Syndicate, Until Dawn, Heavy Rain, and Sleeping Dogs. Basically, while there's nothing is technically confirmed, a motion capture actor, Joshua Archer, and his resume listed working on a game for Ballistic Moon and Sony Interactive Entertainment, which PlayStation is officially called the company. It was a placeholder title of Project Bates. What do we know much about it? I don't know. I mean, Bates could be something to do with Norman Bates. Could be, a psycho related, but probably not. Well, it could be. You never know. I'm not totally sure. Disney has announced they'll be holding a game showcase at their D23 Expo Friday, September 9th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and 9 p.m. British Summer Time. You'll be able to watch it on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. And we've got a little trailer that they released. Basically Disney and Marvel stuff, and Star Wars. A little teaser. Not much was really said. There'll be new announcements and updates on Disney, Dreamlight Valley, Marvel's Midnight Suns, and Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker, and a sneak peek at the upcoming Marvel Ensemble game from Skydance New Media. Sneak peek, so we'll finally see that game. I want to say it's from Amy Hennig's new studio. We'll be getting an update on that. And if you are attending D23, you will be able to see this live in person on the premiere stage. And then after the main live stream, they will also feature developer interviews, special guests, and exclusive giveaways. I don't think that will be actually live stream, but yeah. September 9th, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, for a Disney and Marvel game showcase. I would assume Star Wars Jedi Survivor will probably be there as well, even though it's not confirmed. It seems like a good chance that would make a presentation. And I don't expect the PlayStation Marvel games, the Spider-Man 2 and the Wolverine games, probably won't be at this. I mean, you never know, they could. But Sony seems to separate what they do with the main Marvel stuff. Even though you think about the latest Spider-Man movies, they are part of the MCU, but kind of collaboration between Sony and Disney. But I mean, Sony and Marvel. But yeah. UK sales for last week. UK charts. Horizon Forbidden West has remained the best-selling game of the week, with sales up 35%, mainly due to the game being bundled with the PS5, and there being more PS5 stock available last week in the UK. And 2 Point Campus debuted in second place with almost 2/3 of its sales retail. This is retail only. This doesn't include digital sales. Retail sales on the Switch, 19% on the PS5, 12% on the PS4, and just 5% on the Xbox Series X and X. However, the game is available on Xbox Game Pass, which likely did eat into the sales on the Xbox consoles. And outside of the top two, the rest of the top 10 saw sales decline week on week in the UK. So we got Switch Sports in third, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in fourth, Gran Turismo 7 in fifth, Lego Star Wars in sixth, Pokemon Legends Arceus in seventh, Animal Crossing New Horizons in eighth, Minecraft Switch version in ninth, and F1 22 in 10th. You might see a big trend here of, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Switch exclusives in the top 10. Not too shabby. I mean, I know technically Minecraft isn't a Switch exclusive, but it specifically mentions it's the Switch version. Probably because most people otherwise buy the game digitally. And there was a story recap for the last God of War game released video. I would play the video, but if you haven't played God of War 2018, like me, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want spoilers for myself. So yes, I did write this article, but I didn't watch the video, and I just kind of quickly copied and pasted the text from the PlayStation blog. So if anyone wants to read the recap before God of War Ragnarok comes out November 9th. November 9th? I want to say it's November. Yeah, November 9th for PS5 and PS4. Go to VG Charts. You should see the link. God of War Ragnarok story recap video released. Or go to the PlayStation YouTube account, and you should see it. Myths of Midgard is the name of the video. Let's see. Take-Two is publishing a Middle-earth game in partnership with Weta Workshop, the creators of the Lord of the Rings movie trilogy. Yeah. I mean, not much is said about it. It's set in the Middle-earth universe. And actually, it's technically by Private Division, which is Take-Two's publishing label. Or one of their publishing labels. So we'll see what it ends up being. They do... Yeah, the game is early in development, and no release date was given, but they did say expected to launch during Take-Two's fiscal year 2024. So we're talking a couple years out. So we'll see what it ends up being. I don't know, we might see something next year. Let's see, any other stuff? Let's see. THQ Nordic teases it is working on a new South Park game. They held a presentation on Friday, and at the end, they had a little logo here with South Park Digital Studios. What is the game going to be? I don't know. Last year, the South Park creators did tease a new 3D video game set in the South Park is in development. A year ago. So it's been a while. And the last two main South Park games, Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole, were published by Ubisoft. So I'm feeling this new game will be very different. I hope it keeps the same art style as the other games, but we'll see what it'll end up being. It's teased. Who knows? And the Steam charts. So these are the best-selling games on Steam by revenue. Revenue, not by actual sales numbers. It's by specific revenue. So Steam Deck, unsurprisingly, number one, probably because it's far more expensive than any video game out. But it's a huge week for new releases. 7 of the top 10 there are all new games. However, of course, you can see some games are listed more than once. It's because every version of a specific game is listed separately in the Steam charts. So the 2 versions of Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered available. I don't ask me what the difference is. Usually it'll say like, hey, it's the special edition or something, but it doesn't actually specifically mention which one is which. Is in 2nd and 3rd place, the 2 versions. We got Cult of the Lamb debuting in 4th and 6th place. Farthest Frontier in 5th place. 2 Point Campus debuting in 7th place. Strays down to 8th. Cyberpunk in 9th. And Guilty Gear Strive Season Pass 2 is in 10th place. Again, it is ordered by revenue, includes pre-order numbers and hardware, as you can see with the Steam Deck. And if a game appears multiple times, it's because it has multiple editions, and they're all listed separately. I wish they were all combined, but, you know, it is what it is. So I can only report on what's available. Not as well what is available. Oh, and if anyone is a big Harry Potter fan was looking forward to Hogwarts Legacy, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, because it has been delayed from this holiday to February 10th, 2023. Let's just say 2022 is looking like a pretty pathetic year for new releases. A fairly light year. 2023 is looking nuts. So I'm expecting some games that are coming out next year to be pushed back to 2024. Really would not surprise me if that is what happens. But Hogwarts Legacy, February 10th, 2023. For the PS5, Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. However, no release date was given for the Nintendo Switch. They will announce that release date later. So if you want the game on the Switch, it's going to be coming up most likely some odd months later. Probably because developing for the Switch was being so much more underpowered than anything else out there. Yeah. Probably takes a lot more work to downgrade the game to make it actually run on the Switch. So if you're looking to the game, February 10th, 2023. Oh, and PC version is coming to Steam and Epic Games Store. Let's see. Let's go to the next page. Actually, hold on. PlayStation Store charts for July have been released. So looking at the PS5 on the PlayStation Store, we've got in the US and Canada, Stray is number 1, GTA 5 and NBA 2K22. In Europe, Stray debuts in 2nd, F1 22 is in 1st, GTA 5 is in 3rd. It's interesting to see the difference between the US, Canada, and Europe. And then PS4, we got Stray in 1st in the US and Canada, but it came in 3rd in Europe. Minecraft is in 2nd for both, GTA 5 is in the US in 3rd, and F1 22 tops the Europe charts. PlayStation VR, it's almost always Beat Saber number 1 and Job Simulator is number 2 for PlayStation VR. And then actually, top 5 are the same. Swordman in 3rd, Rick and Morty in 4th, Super Hot VR in 5th. And the most played Free-to-play games. Multiverses, Cam's in first in US and Canada, while it's second in Europe. Fall Guys is in second in US and Canada, but it's in first in Europe. Fortnite is in third in both. Apex Legends in fourth in US and Canada. Rocket League is fourth in Europe. So again, PlayStation Store download charts. And then moving on. Resident Evil producer has left Capcom after 27 years and is joining NetEase Games as a producer. He was hired in 1997, has worked on several Resident Evil games, Devil May Cry games, Dragon's Dogma, and more over the 27 years. But he actually left Capcom March 31st, 2022, and is officially joining NetEase Games as a producer. That's about all I can say about that. Capcom has revealed part of its TGS 2022 lineup and schedule. Part of its lineup. So, games that will be showcased, playable in person at the booth. We got Exo Primal, Mega Man, Battle Network Legacy Collection, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, and Street Fighter 6 will all be playable. Tokyo Game Show again runs from September 15th to the 18th in Japan. Surprisingly, in Tokyo, right? Tokyo Game Show. They've got 2 confirmed online events. The main one, September 15th, 23 JST. Tokyo Game Show, the Capcom Online program. Get all the latest Capcom news in our pre-recorded stream as part of TGS Online. And then the following day, they will be giving updates on Street Fighter 6. Again, September 15th and 16th. Gamescom Opening Night Live is going to feature, unsurprisingly, new game announcements and some cool surprises, according to Jeff Keighley, who will be hosting Gamescom 2022 Opening Night Live, which live streamed on Tuesday, August 23rd at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. British Summer Time, and 8 p.m. Central European Standard Time. Because I'm fairly certain that's what CEST stands for. But yeah, Jeff Keighley says more than 20 games will be on stage. It's going to be a big spectacle. We have some very cool guests that are coming to Germany to join us on stage, as well to reveal their games and showcase new content. He said there will be a mix of games that have already been announced and a fair number of new games announced as well. He added, we got some good stuff. We haven't really announced the lineup of companies that will be there, but I think we've got some cool surprises and things that I think people wouldn't expect to be there. There are a lot of games. We're going to have 2 hours of content to show you, including gameplay clips, trailers, and announcements. This year is lighter for releases that are coming out later this year, so a lot of stuff will be about what's coming next year in 2023 and beyond. But yeah, I think people will be hyped, and I'm very excited for fans to see stuff and be in the room. And confirmed for Gamescom 2022, we got Xbox and Ubisoft definitely confirmed to be there. PlayStation, Nintendo, Activision, Blizzard, Take-Two, and Wargaming have already announced they will be skipping Gamescom this year. It is a hybrid in-person online event this year. Let's see. PlayStation Games has officially launched a PC website for its PC games. It's light on. It's currently fairly light on games. I mean, now available, we got God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, which just came out. Days Gone, Horizon Zero Dawn, Helldivers, and Predator Hunting Grounds as the 6 games so far available from PlayStation released on PC. And coming soon, we've got Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales coming this fall, and then Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection coming to PC again sometime later this year. Most of these games are available on Steam and the Epic Games Store. Metal Slug Tactics has been delayed to next year. If anyone's excited for Metal Slug Tactics, do apologize. Games are getting delayed left and right. I mean, at this point, what do we got for big games coming out for the holidays? You got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Pokemon Violet and Scarlet, or is it Scarlet and Violet? It's one of those orders. And God of War Ragnarok. I think those are like the big 3 games. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing stuff. I think those are the big 3 ones coming out this year. So. Right. So yeah, Microsoft also responding to Sony in responding to Brazil's regulatory body. basically said Sony's been paying developers for blocking rights to keep games off of Xbox Game Pass. I mean, it's not a surprise. Instead of paying for full exclusivity, paying them just enough to be like, can you just not put it on Game Pass? Or just give us a temporary timed exclusive? So, Microsoft, with a translation, Microsoft's ability to continue expanding Game Pass has been obstructed by Sony's desire to inhibit such growth. Sony pays for blocking rights to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass and other competing subscription services. Considering that exclusivity strategies have been at the core of Sony's strategy to strengthen its presence in the games industry, and that Sony's a leader in the distribution of digital games, Sony's concern with possible exclusivity of Activision's content is incoherent, to say the least. It only reveals once again a fear about an innovative business model that offers high-quality content at low cost to gamers, threatening a leadership that has been forged from a device-centric exclusivity-focused strategy over the years. So yeah, Microsoft calling out Sony basically for paying to keep games third-party developers for time. I mean, Microsoft does the same thing, paying for third-party exclusive deals, whether it's just helping pay for development or paying to get games like Game Pass and whatnot. Nintendo does it as well, but I don't think nearly as much. And also, in response, Microsoft saying their Activision of Activision Blizzard is not anti-competitive. Microsoft has responded. Sony basically claiming Activision Blizzard acquisition is anti-competitive as it could influence people to switch from PlayStation to Xbox. But Microsoft has stated they plan to keep Call of Duty multi-platform. It's just basically Call of Duty will be hitting Game Pass day one, and marketing rights once Sony's deal with Activision Blizzard ends. Currently, Sony has a deal with Activision Blizzard for marketing rights for Call of Duty and getting some DLC I think it's like about a month early, and other minor content exclusive. But once that deal's over, I would assume that's when we see Call of Duty games hitting Game Pass, and then marketing, all Call of Duty marketing will have the Xbox and Game Pass logo at the end of it instead of the PlayStation logo. And then maybe similar, you might see some content hitting Xbox instead of PlayStation a month early. It's my guess. Well, it still will remain multi-platform. And then looking at Blizzard, most of Blizzard's stuff is more popular on PC anyway. Looking at World of Warcraft, obviously, it's only on PC. Diablo, StarCraft, I mean, maybe Overwatch might be the one exception that's more popular on console. But yeah, Microsoft response here, not surprisingly, Sony was the only third party to convey public opinion materially different from Microsoft Activision Blizzard King ABK, because Activision Blizzard also includes mobile company King, and the third parties regarding the competitive analysis of the transaction. Microsoft says that Sony does not want to see Call of Duty available on Game Pass on day one, as Sony doesn't want to compete with Game Pass. In short, Sony is not resigned to having to compete with Microsoft's subscription service. Sony's public outcry on subscription games and the company's response are clear. Sony doesn't want attractive subscription services to threaten its dominance in the market for digital distribution of console games. In other words, Sony rails against the introduction of new monetization models capable of challenging its business model. Game Pass, it's $10, $15 a month, depending on what one you want to get, for access to 100 plus games per month. So it adds up, but it's every month, and games are generally added every month. While Sony, they've got their more expensive PlayStation Plus tier. It doesn't include, the biggest difference is it does not include first party PlayStation games on launch on day one. Usually they'll come years down the line on those more expensive tiers. Well, on Game Pass, it includes all first party Xbox games day one on Xbox and PC, and I guess on the phone if you use Xbox Cloud Gaming, or if you've got a newer Samsung television, also has Xbox Cloud Gaming built in. Obviously, you gotta have fast enough internet, otherwise it doesn't work very well. If you got fast internet, Xbox Cloud Gaming works fine. If you don't, well, it won't work very well, especially if you want to play games competitively online. Microsoft, in response to Sony's claims that Call of Duty is its own separate market from all other categories, basically Sony said Call of Duty is in a league of its own, doesn't compare to any other shooters. It's its own category. It's its own genre. By Microsoft, in response to Sony, is limited to commenting on Call of Duty's brand strength and loyalty and engagement. However, claiming that Call of Duty has a loyal following is a premise from which the conclusion of the game is a category of a game in itself does not follow. The PlayStation itself has a foundation established by players loyal to the brand. This finding, however, does not lead to the conclusion that the PlayStation or any branded product with loyal consumers is a separate market from all other consoles. Extrapolating from such a finding, the extreme conclusion that Call of Duty is a game category in itself is simply justifiable under any quantitative or qualitative analysis. Microsoft also mentioned only 2 Activision Blizzard games ranked in the top 20 best-selling games of last year, which includes games from third-party developers and exclusives to PlayStation and Nintendo. So 2 out of the 20 best-selling games of last year were from Activision Blizzard. Basically means that Microsoft believes that COD, Call of Duty, is just one of a wide range of best-selling games that includes multiple titles that are not even available on Xbox consoles. Sony also initially responded by saying Xbox Game Pass over the past 5 years has grown to capture 60 to 70% of the worldwide subscription service video games market. Sony believes it would take several years for a competitor to create a rival to Game Pass, but even with substantial investment. Microsoft says Sony contradicted itself as they said Xbox Game Pass has grown over the past 5 years to be a success, which is without having any Activision Blizzard titles available on the service, which means Call of Duty, Game Pass is considered a success with 60 to 70% of the overall market share for subscription services. But what is this? Sony's worried that basically Microsoft is going to take Call of Duty off PlayStation. And they're basically, and then that will move, 10 or 20 million people who play Call of Duty on PlayStation to go out and buy the Xbox and game on Xbox. I think that's basically what they're worried about. They're going to lose market share. Yeah, and Call of Duty, it is basically like one of the best-selling games every single year. Every year. New Call of Duty every year, but it's, But Microsoft has already said they don't plan on making Call of Duty not available on PlayStation. They just want to make it available on Game Pass day one and basically put marketing. If you think about how well Call of Duty sells, they'll be leaving a ton of money on the table for such a big franchise. Well, other smaller stuff, they are making exclusives. I mean, like Starfield, new IP from Bethesda is Xbox and PC exclusive. I mean, say PC exclusive, Xbox and PC, but Xbox console exclusive. But Microsoft goes on to list 5 reasons against Sony's claim that adding Activision Blizzard titles to Xbox Game Pass will lead to an unattainable lead in subscription services for Microsoft. So, reason number 1, it is not part of Microsoft's strategy to remove content from players. Call of Duty will still be on PlayStation as a buy-to-play title. Number 1. Number 2, the data shows that players see subscription services like Xbox Game Pass as just one of many ways to pay to play games. Game Pass is an option available to you, not the only option in order to play these games. Whether you want to buy them outright at launch or whatever, or just pay a monthly fee in order to play all these games that are available on the service. Number 3, Sony's claim that Xbox Game Pass could lead to an unattainable lead ignores the dynamic nature of these services and the relevant presence of Sony itself in this space. Yeah, if Sony were to... Oh, yeah, by the way, reason 4, is the best one. Reason 4, his was redacted, Basically, I looked through the data and looked through it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, reason 4 is redacted. All right, I guess I'm not going to write that one. There's nothing to write about it. Reason 5, there is strong competition, rival game distribution channels, including console stores and subscription services that already have access to Activision Blizzard games. Console stores, PlayStation Store. Battle.net. Is it Battle.net? I would say it's Battle.net on PC. Steam. Including exclusive content not available to Microsoft consumers. So, those are the 5 reasons. I mean, 1 is redacted. 4 are the 5 reasons that Microsoft gave. Now, Microsoft also added that the new PlayStation Plus... they consider the new PlayStation Plus service a rival to Xbox Game Pass in the industry. Saying that the use of exclusive arrangements have been at the heart of Sony's strategy to strengthen its presence in the gaming industry. I guess some examples is paying for exclusive making Final Fantasy VII Remake a PlayStation exclusive, and then eventually coming to PC down the line. Same with Death Stranding or the upcoming Final Fantasy 16 coming out on PlayStation exclusively at launch. Along with its first-party lineup, Sony has entered agreements with third-party publishers to ensure some games released as exclusives at launch on PlayStation consoles. Microsoft sees Sony's claims as a fear regarding an innovative business model that offers high-quality content at low costs to players, threatening a leadership that was forged from a device-centric strategy and focused on exclusivity throughout the years. Microsoft added that not releasing Activision Blizzard games on rival console stores would not be profitable for Microsoft, as it would only be profitable if enough people who play Activision Blizzard games would shift from PlayStation to Xbox console ecosystem, I guess, or say PC. That is their response. There's a lot to go through. Let's see. Coming out, we've got the UK charts. For 2022, 104,000 consoles were sold in the UK in July, which is a 16% drop compared to June. However, it should be noted July only had 4 weeks, while June had 5 weeks for the month. So basically, sales were pretty much flat on a week-to-week, on an average weekly sales, relatively. So far for 2022, console sales are down 38% year over year through July for the first 7 months. Mainly due to continued stock shortages of the PS5 and Series X. For 2022 year to date, the Switch is the best-selling platform. PS5 is now taking second place. It's probably just a hair ahead of the Series X and S. Again, this is UK console sales based on GfK Entertainment. And then GSD, which we've got software sales, 1.79 million physical and digital games were sold in the UK in July, which is a 17% drop compared to July of last year, and a 32% drop month over month. F1, best-selling game. LEGO Star Wars number 2. GTA 5 in 3rd. FIFA in 4th. Red Dead 2 in 5th. Nintendo Switch Sports in 6th. And also should be noted, first-party Nintendo games or Nintendo-published games do not include digital sales on these charts. So those games could potentially be higher if digital sales were included. It's just what's available is the data that's presented. Let's see. I think that is going to just about do it for the gaming news over the past week. So, yeah. If you've enjoyed this latest game news roundup, as always, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. If anyone has any questions, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below. Obviously, if you're watching this live, feel free to post it in the chat. Otherwise, yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this Game News Roundup. Again, these are live streamed every Monday night. Twitch.tv/TrunksWD, usually 6:30 to 7 p.m. Eastern start time. I stream for a little bit, then I get into talking about the latest gaming news for this, which is what you're watching. And then I usually also stream playing other random games. Lately has been Alan Wake Remastered and Horizon Zero Dawn. And I do plan to play Spider-Man Remastered on the PC. Now it's available on PC soon-ish. So, yeah. Again, if you enjoyed this video, watching this on YouTube, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. And, YouTube algorithm and all that stuff. So, thank you all so much for watching. See you all in the next video.